Howdy everyone, today, I'm sharing 6 terrifying camping encounters. Imagine being miles from civilization, with only a thin tent between you and the unknown. These real-life stories are chilling reminders that the most frightening things aren't in horror movies. They're in the quiet, dark places of the world. So, find a comfortable spot, turn down the lights, and prepare yourself. If you love the strange, dark, and mysterious, you're in the right place. Our first story comes from Alex, an experienced camper who had spent years exploring the wild, always seeking new adventures and the peace that only nature could provide. He was no stranger to the solitude of the woods, and he prided himself on his ability to handle anything the wilderness could throw at him, but nothing could have prepared him for what he would encounter on this particular trip. On a solo trip to a remote forest, Alex was looking for a break from the noise of everyday life. He hiked deep into the woods, far from any marked trails, until he found a secluded clearing surrounded by towering trees. The air was crisp, the only sounds were the distant calls of birds and the gentle rustle of leaves. It was exactly the kind of isolation he craved. As night fell, the forest transformed. The cheerful daylight faded, replaced by a thick, creeping mist that curled around the trees. The silence grew heavy, almost as if the woods themselves were holding their breath. Alex sat by his small campfire, feeling a strange sense of anticipation in the air, as if something unseen was watching and waiting. Around 10 p.m., just as Alex was about to turn in for the night, he heard a sudden, sharp snap, a twig breaking somewhere nearby. He froze, listening intently. The sound was followed by a slow, deliberate footstep. It was too heavy to be a deer or any other animal he knew. The footsteps were measured, unmistakably bipedal, and they seemed to be getting closer. His heart pounded in his chest as the footsteps began to circle his tent. Each step crunched the forest floor, moving slowly, almost methodically, as if whoever or whatever was out there wanted him to know he was being watched. Alex held his breath, straining to hear any other sounds, but the footsteps were the only thing breaking the silence. Suddenly, a tall humanoid shadow appeared, its outline cast against the thin fabric of his tent by the dying light of the campfire. The figure stood impossibly still, its head tilted slightly as if studying him. Alex could make out long arms and an unnaturally thin body, but no features, just a dark, menacing silhouette. Alex lay frozen in his sleeping bag, every muscle tense. He wanted to scream, to run, but fear held him in place. He could hear his own rapid breathing, feel the cold sweat on his skin. The shadow outside didn't move, but its presence was overwhelming, filling the tent with a sense of dread that was almost suffocating. The shadow seemed to linger, as if it was savoring his terror. It loomed over the tent, casting a chilling darkness that seemed to seep through the fabric. Alex could feel its gaze, cold and unblinking, fixed on him. Minutes felt like hours as he lay there, paralyzed by fear, unable to look away from the shifting silhouette. At some point, exhaustion overtook him, and he drifted into a restless sleep. When he awoke, the first light of dawn was breaking through the trees, painting the forest in soft gold and silver. The shadow was gone, vanished, as if it had never been there at all. The oppressive feeling had lifted, replaced by the gentle sounds of morning. Alex stepped outside, searching the ground for any sign of what he had seen. There were no footprints, no broken branches, nothing to suggest that anyone, or anything, had been near his tent. The forest floor was undisturbed, as if the night's events had been nothing more than a bad dream. Shaken to his core, Alex packed up his camp in silence. He left the forest that morning, vowing never to return to that place. To this day, he wonders what watched him from the shadows, and whether it's still out there, waiting for the next camper to wander too far from the beaten path. 4 friends, Mark, Sarah, Ben, and Chloe, camped in a rugged state park. They noticed a lone hiker's tent nearby. In the night, Mark heard a strange noise, a muffled cry. The next morning, the hiker's tent was a mess, but he was gone. A single boot lay near the creek, no other signs. Panicked, they alerted park rangers. A massive search found nothing. The hiker vanished without a trace, leaving a terrifying mystery. Jessica and Tom camped in an old-growth forest. At night, a woman's scream pierced the silence. It was human, filled with terror, then abruptly cut off. They waited, hearts pounding, but heard nothing more. Later, a man's scream echoed, equally terrifying. They huddled in fear, imagining horrific scenarios. At dawn, they reported the screams to rangers. A search found no signs, no other campers. The screams seemed to come from ghosts, leaving no trace. Brothers David and Michael camped by a secluded lake. They saw a distant campfire through the fog. The next morning, the fire's location was empty. They paddled across the lake, finding no trace of a campfire. The ground was undisturbed, as if untouched for years. They knew what they saw, but found no explanation. The experience haunted them, turning their sanctuary into a place of unease. Frank, a seasoned outdoorsman, camped by a remote Canadian lake. At midnight, he saw a creature emerge from the water. It was tall, gaunt, with unnaturally long limbs. Frank hid, heart pounding, as it moved towards his camp. The creature stopped, emitting a foul stench. It eventually returned to the lake, disappearing into the water. Frank left at first light, never forgetting the pale, gaunt thing. The Johnson family, a family of 4, had been looking forward to their first camping trip for months. They chose a quiet state park, far from the city lights, hoping to reconnect with nature and each other. The air was crisp, the trees towering above, and the only sounds were the crackling of their campfire and the distant calls of night birds. As dusk settled, they roasted marshmallows, shared stories, and felt a sense of adventure in the air. But as the family drifted off to sleep, Sarah, the mother, found herself unable to relax. The forest seemed to grow darker, and the silence heavier. Suddenly she was jolted awake by a faint rustling outside their tent. Her heart pounded as she strained to listen, every muscle tense. The sound grew louder, unmistakably close, and she realized it wasn't just the wind. Through the thin fabric of the tent, Sarah heard the distinct metallic clink of their car door handle being jiggled. Someone, or something, was trying to get inside their vehicle. She held her breath, afraid to move or make a sound, hoping the intruder would go away. Whispering urgently, Sarah woke her husband, Mark, and their 2 children. The family huddled together, wide-eyed and silent, listening as footsteps crunched in the gravel just outside. Every second felt like an eternity as they waited, paralyzed by fear, unsure of what to do next. The shadowy figure moved methodically through their campsite, shining a flashlight over their belongings and rifling through their cooler. The intruder seemed to know exactly what they were looking for, moving with a chilling calmness that made the family's fear grow even deeper. Then, the footsteps circled their tent, slow and deliberate, as if the person was inspecting them. The beam of a flashlight swept across the tent walls, casting eerie shadows. After what felt like forever, the footsteps finally faded, retreating into the darkness of the woods. When dawn finally broke, the family emerged from their tent, exhausted and shaken. In the soft morning light they discovered large, muddy boot prints circling their tent and leading off into the trees. The prints were fresh, unmistakable evidence that someone had been watching them through the night. They checked their belongings and found nothing missing, but the sense of violation lingered. The realization that a stranger had prowled so close while they slept left them deeply unsettled. The woods, once inviting, now felt menacing and unfamiliar. Without a word, the family packed up their gear, their excitement for adventure replaced by a quiet urgency to leave. As they drove away, they knew this would be their first and last camping trip, haunted by the memory of the uninvited guest who had turned their night in the wild into a chilling ordeal. And that brings us to the end of our campfire. The flames that once danced so brightly have now dwindled to their final embers, casting a soft, warm glow in the darkness. It's a moment of reflection, a time to think back on the stories we've shared tonight. 6 stories of ordinary people, whose peaceful retreat into nature turned into a living nightmare. Each tale a chilling reminder that the wilderness holds more than just the beauty of the natural world. It harbors secrets and shadows that can turn a serene escape into a haunting experience. From silent shadows and phantom fires to creatures that defy explanation, these encounters are a stark reminder that we are never truly alone in the wilderness. The forest, with its dense canopy and hidden corners, is a place where the line between reality and the supernatural blurs. The woods keep their secrets, and sometimes those secrets come out to play. The rustling leaves, the distant howls, and the eerie silence all contribute to the feeling that something is watching, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. It makes you wonder what else is lurking just beyond the firelight, watching and waiting. The darkness beyond the campfire is a realm of unknowns, where every shadow could be something more, something that defies the logic of the daylight world. I want to extend a huge thank you for joining me for these strange, dark, and mysterious stories. Your presence here, sharing in these tales, adds to the magic and the mystery of the experience. It's a journey we take together, into the heart of the unknown. I truly appreciate you spending your time here. In a world full of distractions, your choice to sit by this virtual campfire and listen to these stories means a lot. It's a testament to the power of storytelling and the human desire to explore the unknown. If you enjoyed these stories, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. Your support helps keep the campfire burning, allowing us to continue sharing these eerie tales and exploring the mysteries of the night. It helps more than you know, and ensures that you'll be here for the next round of unsettling tales. Each like, each subscription, is a spark that keeps the fire alive, ready to illuminate the darkness with more stories that send shivers down your spine. Until then, stay safe out there, and maybe think twice before you answer the call of the wild. The next time you find yourself in the woods, remember these stories and the mysteries that lie just beyond the firelight. Stay vigilant, stay curious, and always be prepared for the unexpected.